here for Pride Month, and Luis Salazar, past president of the LGBTQ caucus and member of the LGBTQ plus community. Now, for Pride, if you're not familiar, started all the way back with the Stonewall riots, right? This was actually 57 years ago. I'm sorry, I took an old picture of this thing. 57 years ago, we had a riot at the Stonewall Inn because police came in to pick on gay people, to pick on lesbians, to pick on trans people, and they said, you know what? Fuck this. Let's go have a fucking fight, right? And that's what we need to remember, because Pride is a celebration of who our friends and family members are, but it's also a reminder of the people who stood up, even when it wasn't safe to stand up, right? So it's important that we embody that as a club, because that's what our job is, right? We're East Hillsboro. We don't talk, we do. So, how can we help? There's a whole slew of ways that we can help, right? We're doing some of it right here, helping kids in the LGBTQ plus community. Why? A lot of kids in the LGBTQ plus community get kicked out of their houses by parents who are not supportive. Homelessness in the LGBTQ youth community is a horrific, horrific problem. You can also do all kinds of things. I'm about to talk trash about one of my past employers, so get ready for a response. This is the Center on Halstead. So Jenny and I, after we got married, we moved to Chicago. My wife was a public school teacher there. I was a law student and then a lawyer. One of my college roommates, Ray, came out when we were 26, right before the bar exam. He then got a job here at the Center on Halstead. It was one of his first jobs, which is an LGBTQ plus advocacy group. And here's the problem. This was 2007, and he was going to all the big law firms and asking them to send a speaker. They wanted someone from a big law firm to come and talk at the Center on Halstead. And no big law firm would send someone in 2007. Not one of them in Chicago, because they thought it was too controversial to speak about same-sex rights in 2007. Now, I keep bringing up 2007. This is not ancient history. The iPhone existed then. 2007. So what did he do? He called me, because I worked at a big, powerful law firm. And he said, hey, Drew, can you come give a speech on same-sex marriage rights? And I said, I could. The only problem is I don't know anything about that. I was like, so you got to give me a month. Give me a month to study, and then I'll come give a lecture. Now, I didn't think it was any big deal because I was a professor at a law school. I gave lectures all the time. So I came and I gave a lecture at the Center on Halstead. The day after I gave that lecture, I got set down by partners of Schiller, DeConto, and Flair to tell me that if I talked about gay rights again, that it would have a negative impact on my career, is how they phrased it. Now enter this guy. This is Richard Wilson. He's a professor at the University of Michigan. He is also basically the Michael Jordan of same-sex marriage. This guy has been together with his partner for about 40 years. He has written more laws and helped more states pass laws to enshrine LGBTQ rights than any human being I know. He happened to hear about my speech at the Center on Halstead and said, hey, you want to give a speech with me? And I was like starstruck. I was like, absolutely I want to give a speech with you. I don't care what these partners just said. I said, but hey, can you do me a favor? Because here's the talk I just got. And he's like, oh, you're totally getting fired. And I'm like, oh, no, I know. So like, let's make this a show as I go out. And so we gave our speech together at the legal center named after my law firm, so that when they fired me, it would be for speaking at the center that they donated tens of millions of dollars to get named after themselves. So that's a small bit of resistance. Now, not everybody can be like, yeah, fuck you, I'm going to get fired. I don't care, I'll go get another job, right? I'm not saying you have to go get fired. I'm also not saying go start a riot like you're in Stonewall, right? But we can resist by whatever means are available to us, right? Whatever means are available. Resistance could be buying some crayons, right? Could just be helping a gay kid right now, right? It could be giving your boss the middle finger when they tell you about something like this, because we are regressing to that point. Marriage equality is in the courts, and if I had to guess with this Supreme Court, we are going to lose it. Just like we gained it in my lifetime, we are going to lose it in my lifetime. And so we have to be prepared to fight back however we can. It might be taking on your boss, it might be taking something to court, it might be buying a kid crayons, it might just be being kind to a kid in your neighborhood that's having a hard time, right? There's all kinds of things that we can do. Now, We don't usually talk about what we're doing for donations, so I'll now return us to how we normally run our meetings, right? Now, as you know, Democratic meetings are supposed to start with a moment of silence, and you also know I am not good at following rules, so we don't do that. We don't do a moment of silence, we do a moment of righteous anger, right? Because there's a lot to be pissed off about right now. And I don't know what you guys are pissed off about, but here's one thing that pissed me off this week. They advanced a bill to cut food aid for pregnant and women who have just given birth and young children, cutting aid for fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables. Healthy food. And if you think that this stops there, for those of you who don't know, the reason I look like I should have been involved in January 6th is that I grew up on a farm, right? I grew up on a chicken and turkey farm in the middle of nowhere. One of the lines in this story about this is they're also increasing cuts for farmers and rural communities. And this is particularly important by steeply cutting critical investments, including water and waste grants, to help the poorest communities get safer water services. When I was a kid, we couldn't drink my water. I had water that came out of a pump. We had to pump water like this out of a metal pump, and you couldn't drink it. And the reason you couldn't drink it is all of our groundwater had been contaminated with farm pesticides. And so when you see things like this, and you see a pregnant woman or a woman with a little baby that's struggling because they've now cut food aid at a time when people are making less and less and everything is costing more and more, or you see someone in a rural community really struggling because you can't have water, right? Like, to this day, it's a running joke with my wife and I that I never drink water. Why? I drink milk like a lunatic, like a Mike freaking Pence, right? I drink milk like a lunatic. Why? Because milk was the only safe drink I had as a kid. I couldn't drink water. And so this is the kind of thing where we're going to have a whole another generation that had to go through that because we are cutting these services. And what are we cutting? $1.1 billion. What are we doing simultaneously? We are sending $1.6 billion to Kazakhstan for tungsten mining. Brace yourselves. Guess who owns those tungsten mines? The Trump family. So while kids like me will have to grow up without drinking water, we are enriching the Trump family by $1.6 billion of our taxpayer funds. I don't know about you, but that pisses me off.
Yeah.
Or here, we've got Doge out there, right? We talk about ICE in here a lot because we started the Whistle Watch. What it just came out this week that Doge has been up to? They have a plan to mark 2.7 million living people as dead. Why? Because if you mark someone as dead with Social Security, you can't bank, you can't work, you can't do things. And what was their plan? To deport 2.7 million people, including citizens. Including citizens. You think they won't put Rudina on that list for knocking doors for her entire life? Right? You think they're not coming after people that they just don't like their political views? I guarantee that there are people who just oppose the Trump administration in this 2.7 million people that are going to magically get declared dead. Those are some of the stories that I saw this week that make me pissed off. Who else is mad? What are you mad about?
Voting rights.
Voting rights. Tell me about it.
Like, where are they going?
Yeah.
Like, it just blows my mind that it can even happen the way it's happening. I don't understand it. I don't know how we can allow that.
Yeah.
That just angers me.
Yeah. Absolutely. Chris?
They just went into Trump and said they have a right to demolish anything they want, and you can't sue because they'll have already demolished it, therefore you don't have a standing.
Yeah.
How about you, Luis? You're here to speak to us today. Let's hear what's pissing you off before you get up here.
This week is the property taxes. What are we gonna do? Right?
Yeah.
He keeps saying that I've seen a lot of Republicans speak because they go to a lot of rooms and they say they're doing that for the children, they're fighting for children. Yet they're taking away funds from development, education, and things that children need to have, especially poor children, need to have better lives.
Right? There's a lot to that, right? Where we start losing our schools, start losing our funding, it's going to be a problem, right? We have a lot that we can be angry about, but never forget, anger is a gift. It means you care, but it's not enough to just be angry. You have to take that anger and use it to organize and unite people so that anger becomes a transforming force. Dr. King taught us that, and we need to embody that here, because it is not enough to put angry posts on social media. It is not enough to tell people, I don't like what's going on. You gotta do things like showing up in this room. You gotta do things like knocking doors with Rutina. You gotta do things like coming to Luis's campaign events so that we can start getting Democrats into office. It's not enough to be angry. We gotta organize, we gotta unite, and we gotta get out there. Now, as we're thinking about doing that, what do? We think about our why. Why are we here tonight, right? You could be sitting on your couch drinking a beer, right? Watching TV, talking to your friends, or if you're someone like me, in your garden so you don't have to talk to anyone, right? This is Jenny and I on our first date when we were 19. That's us at a wedding a year ago. She has less rights today than she did when we went on that first date. Yeah, that's before the bait and switch, back when all my hair was up here, right? These are my kids. All of them are adopted. They're black or Latino. I'm here, my why is because I want life to be better for them. I don't want to have to deal with open racism on behalf of my kids. I don't want to have to worry that they might not be at school when I go to pick them up because they're black and brown. I don't want to have to tell them that they're going to learn bullshit in school that's not true about slavery being a positive and other horse shit like that, right? These are not the things that they should have to do. That's why I'm here. What's your why? Laura, why are you here?
Well, there's so many things. I mean, all the things that you've said. I mean, I am more pissed off lately though about, gay rights in general. Like, this has to do not just with the United States, but with how people are viewing people that are LGBTQ around the world. Like, I saw a Facebook post this past weekend that pissed me off. I have a friend, because I used to live in Chicago too, and I taught there a little bit, right?
Nice.
So I have a friend that I taught with, like, at Northeastern Illinois University, up there, yeah. And, she and her wife and their 2 children were in Greece. And the owner came over to them and actually asked them to leave the establishment. Because they were, like, leaning on each other, the 2 of them were. And yeah, the whole thing, yeah. And so they had to, so they talked to their kids about it and everything. But it was like, one of their kids was actually taking pictures of the view and, like, with their parents and everything. And so she put that, and then she explained about what happened, and then she was explaining about how rights are diminishing day by day, right? And I even think about when I lived in Chicago in the beginning, in the early 2000s, the time that you were just talking about, right?
Yeah.
And that's when it was like getting exciting, because it was like, that's when you started to see the map filling up, that there were states that were actually accepting gay marriage at that time. I remember I was like, oh my God, it's actually happening.
Yeah.
Like, I was so excited. And then, like you said, now all this rights are being, they're diminishing, they're being taken away, all the time. So yeah, so that's my current thing I'm pissed off about, but yeah.
Who else wants to share their why for why they're here? Let's hear it.
Sidebar. Listen to me. I live in a state where the governor believes that because kidnapped Africans took up Christianity and the skills to shoot horses, that they got a good deal out of it. That pisses me off.
It should.
That he does this with what?
You lived in Texas.
No, I live here in Florida.
Now.
No, not now. I was born here, I grew up here, and I've spent some time in Texas.
So why we're here is because
My governor is a guy named DeSantis.
So when we hear stuff like that, what do you hear? It's not just that he's pissed off about this bullshit about slavery. It's because he cares, right? It's because Laura cares. That's your why. You care about other people. Every single one of you. We went through Susan, Chris, Nick. We could go through everybody. And at its core, every one of our whys would be because of someone we love, someone we care about, and wanting to make sure that the world is a better place for them, right? That's why we're here. So, that's why we're here. What do? Well, this is East Hillsboro, where we stop talking and start doing. Let's go over the strategy, because that's always important, so that everybody can execute our steps wherever they are and whatever they're doing. Democrats in this area, because of redistricting, we now finally have a Democrat representing us, I guess, with Kathy Castor. But up until this redistricting nonsense, we didn't have a single Democrat even representing us. We had no money, we had no representation, so what did we have to implement as our strategy last year? Doing the work, showing up in the community, doing the peanut butter and jelly stuff, making sure we're helping with ECHO, making sure that we are out doing work in the community visibly, and that would draw people in. I know we have a smaller crowd tonight, but we have grown to over 60 members already, just in 1 year by doing that. We have drawn people in because we're actually doing the work. And then what did we do? We said we're going to use that so that we can help politicians get money, volunteers, and voters. And one of our most effective ways to do that has been through data and through showing up and doing the work. We've been writing postcards. We've been making phone calls. We've been doing texts. And that's why candidates are now talking to us, right? A year ago, they wanted to shut this place down. And now we got candidates coming out the wazoo who want to be here. Why? Because we do the work. That gives us influence, where we get to hear from a Luis Salazar. And we get to ask him questions and say, hey, here are the things we're concerned about. And guess what? We're the kind of people who are going to help him get elected. And when we do that, guess whose concerns he wants to hear the most? The people who helped, the people who were there, right? And through doing that, we get to do good in this world, right? We get to change who our representative. Who's the Republican right now in the district you're running for?
Susan Valdez.
Susan Valdez. Anybody remember her?
Yes.
Used to be a Democrat.
Yeah.
Then threw a hissy fit after she didn't get elected president of the Democrats. Decided, well, then I'm going to be a Republican. If I can't be the president of the Democrats, I'm going to be a Republican. Anybody remember that? That's where he's running. That's how we do good. We can take that seat back, right? So, we solve our problems in our community visibly. When you see a community event, we want to know about it. We want to send people to it. And I don't care if it's a mostly Republican event. Laura's been there with us when we do our events at Nativity Catholic Church. You think they get a lot of Democrats coming in there? They do now, because the Southeast Hillsborough women and East Hillsborough show up, and we are in there with hundreds of people showing up again and again and again. And what happens? People see us, know we care about the community, and say, hey, what are you doing? I can tell you we have had a number of people join this club, and a number of people join the Southeast Hillsborough Women's Club because of that specific event. Because we show up there and do the work. That recruits people to our cause, and we use that work we do to create financial leverage and volunteers to offer politicians and community organizations and to turn out voters. We're going to talk a little bit more about that with Rudina and something that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. Then we use these tools to influence policy, how we want it done to do good in this world, right? So we're all on the same page about what we're doing every single week. We stop talking and we start doing. We don't do these nonsense meetings that the other Democrats do, where it's just talk, and we don't do anything, right? So, how do we make a difference? We get involved. This is that new redistricting that we talked about. This is the new 14, which we are now all a part of, right? Over here at East Hillsborough. Blue is Democrats, red is Republicans. This is what this is going to look like. Now, here's the problem. Ran the math on this for Kathy Castor, and in the new CD14, only about 1 out of every 3 precincts has a precinct captain. Precinct captains are the people who are in charge of organizing to make sure that people show up and go knock doors for candidates like Kathy Castor or Luis, to make sure that they are here, right? To make sure that people turn out, that people re-register to vote by mail. And here's the problem. 2/3 of them are empty in this district right now. Okay? That looks like this. Now here's the most concerning part of that. Do you know where Brandon is? We're in the 800s here. So like I'm the precinct captain at 833. Look at all of that red. That is Brandon and Riverview right there. We have to coordinate with the new Riverview one. We have to coordinate with the Southeast Hillsborough women. We have to coordinate with South Shore and Plant City and make sure that this sea of red does not actually turn red in voting, right? So, how are we going to do that? Our first thing is I would like for everybody in this club to sign up with me for June 20th. On June 20th, we're going to do door knocking in East Tampa with the Progressives. There's a link down here. If you go to our website, it's also on the website on upcoming events. So just go to the website and you can sign up there. But this Saturday on June 20th, we will be doing a training on how to do door knocking. You will be paired with someone who already knows how to do this. So if you're concerned about doing this, you're gonna get to learn how to do it here. Why is this so important? Because when I took this place over a year ago and we had nobody, we weren't doing anything to get Democrats elected, right?
Yes.
And now we've changed that to where we're doing easy things in the club, right? In our meetings, if there's an election going on, we're doing postcards, we're setting up text banks, we're doing all kinds of things, right? Now, the next thing we're gonna have to do is we gotta take it out of this room. And we gotta step out into those streets, and we gotta be knocking doors. And we're actually gonna hear from a great speaker on this today. Because you know what Luis Salazar did when he was president of the LGBTQ caucus? They adopted the precinct where they held their meetings. And you know what happened? That became, if I'm not mistaken, the highest voter turnout in Hillsborough. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Highest percentage voter turnout in Hillsborough because of this guy. Because of his vision of getting out of the streets. We're gonna steal from Luis, right? When you see a good idea, steal it, right? We want the good ideas. It doesn't matter where it came from. It's why we help so much. Remember when we did the picnic and the Riverview Club showed up, set up a table, and they were signing up potential new members for Riverview? Why are we doing that? Because this isn't about keeping good ideas to yourself. It's about getting Democrats elected. It's about helping every Democrat we can and every Democratic organization that we can. So, I would like everybody to sign up for this with me, okay? I will be there. Jenny will be there. Good chance our kids will be there because if both of us are there, we gotta bring them up. So, I'm gonna need babysitters at a minimum. So, even if you don't wanna knock doors, come watch a kid. But I want everybody Saturday, June 20th, if you are available, to sign up for this. And again, this is on the website right now under upcoming events as the very first listed event. This is really important for our development as a club so that we can make sure we are all trained on how to do this. In that vein, Rudina, what do you got for us?
Okay. Unfortunately, we did not coordinate.
Uh-oh.
And I have started canvassing in what's called a prioritized precinct. It's 867, and it's north of 60 and kind of west.
867, one of our reds. We need
Right.
somebody there.
So last week I was doing canvassing Friday and Saturday morning. For the next 3 weeks, it'll be Saturdays, which will conflict with one of
Only
your
the one
days.
day, yes.
But wherever you go, canvass. We are gonna need both canvassers, door knockers, and drivers. A canvass goes way smoother if there's somebody driving the people who are knocking the doors. Otherwise, you park your car, you go up the street, you knock the doors, you go back to your car, you pick up your car, you go to the next street. It's very cumbersome. But if you've got a car following you, it goes much more smoothly. We need both canvassers and drivers. I'll send this around. It's a morning canvass from 9 to 11 in the morning. And for the next 3 weeks, if you can either knock doors or drive, I would appreciate your participation. And if you do this on the 20th, I've got one before and I've got one after. So please join us.
All right, and whether you're getting trained with Rudina, I've knocked doors with Rudina, it's great. We are going to adopt precinct 834, right here. It's only one of these red spots. It's not enough, but as a club, I want to adopt that precinct. Why? Because I moved there, and we can use my house as a home base, right? We all get there, we got water, we got a place to park, and then we can go out and we can knock doors, and it's a really compact precinct where we can walk every place and just use my house as a home base to knock this entire place out, right? And then we can. 834 is what I would like to adopt for the East Hillsborough Democrats. The DEC has said that is fine, so we should be good to go there because they do not have a precinct captain again because it's red. So let's just take it over. We got an easy spot that we can all get to, and it's right here in Brandon, so that we can take that over and do the same thing, hopefully, that Luis and the LGBTQ plus caucus did, and turn that into a bright spot of voters, right? This is right by the school where I'm the president of the PTA, so I know a bunch of people in the neighborhood. I know a bunch of the kids, so you'll get to see all kinds of people, and it'll be a fun thing for us to stepped into transitioning from a club that a year ago the DEC wanted to die. They said, don't take over as president, just let it die. We didn't do that, right? We took it over. And then what did we do? We built it into something where we helped with data and postcards and phone calls, getting politicians elected. And now we're going to take the next step, which is to get out in the streets while we're doing this, okay? Everybody with me?
Where are you expecting people to accumulate on June 20th?
On June 20th, so when you sign up, it actually has, there will be a location in East Tampa which is shared when you sign up. So it's right here, and when you sign up, it gives you like all the address and all that kind of stuff. Okay.
How's the parking?
I don't know, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
Oh, it's right.
Yeah, once you 10 to 2 in East Tampa. I apologize, I blanked on the on putting the actual address of where it's going to be, but it's in it when you sign up. I know from clicking on sign up.
Is it a park area or what?
No, so it's a community in East Tampa where we're going to be walking around and knocking doors, but we're going to meet together near a park, and then we're going to go knock doors in a variety of different groups.
You're a park at 10 a.m.
Yep.
Okay.
And then knocking doors until 2 p.m. And we're going to assign people to experienced door knockers if they have not knocked doors before, so you can be with somebody. Or if you're somebody who says, hey, I really don't like talking to people, can I drive the car? We'll do what we can to make that happen as well, right? There is a role for everybody. There's an opportunity for everybody to do whatever you need to do, okay? All right. Another upcoming event that'll be great, June 28th, 250 years of America's Voices. This way you don't have to listen to that Trump bullshit about 250 years of America. You can go to this, and what does this have? It's got local artists who have donated thousands of dollars worth of artwork that will be there for a silent auction. Local artists. We've got local musicians, local community members and poets and bands and all kinds of things coming together to join this 250 years of American Voices. This will be a great way to celebrate this anniversary of the United States. Because for all of our problems, this is a great country that has the potential to be much, much better if we do this work, right? My dad grew up so poor, he had one pair of pants. I got to go on to be a lawyer and a law school professor in one generation because my dad got an opportunity to go to college and it opened doors for my entire family. That's what this country can be. We can celebrate those stories at an event like this, where it's not some goddamn UFC fight besmirching the White House lawn, right? We can celebrate at this. So I will tell you, we will be at this too, June 28th, 6 to 9 p.m. Let's celebrate what's great.
But where is that?
The Commodore is down in Tampa.
Oh, the Commodore is
The
playing.
Commodore, down in Tampa.
It's an Igor, right?
Yeah, yep. No, this is not the 1950s, Janet.
Commodore's working 1950s.
I saw them in Prince City last year.
I wasn't born until the 80s, so I just knew it was old.
Can you give us a
It's on Brown Street and 7th.
It's on
Hold it,
7.
yeah.
Oh, not a Richie, right?
6 to 9 at the Commodore, right in Eden, 10 minutes from here.
The Commodore on 7.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, I was wondering too.
All right. This one, I've got all of your questions answered. We got a location here in Tiffany Church. We got a time, 8:30 to 10:30. We got a date. I nailed it on this one. Sorry, I messed it up on the last two.
It's a great church.
And-
We need the church.
This room is packed with hundreds of people. When it's a huge day, like their anniversary last year, we had 500 people making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. This place started with one woman with 5 volunteers and 20 loaves of bread. They have gone on over the last 20 years to feed over 1 million hungry people. They have made over 60,000 sandwiches already this year as of the beginning of May. They're on pace to do over 100,000 sandwiches this year. Always during the week, during the morning, so it makes it a challenge to get there, right? I know, like, we took the kids, so it's hard to get there, right? Like, but now school's out, so we took the kids with us. So can't work for everybody, but if you can, it's a great opportunity to show up in spaces that Democrats are not in a lot, right? And it's an opportunity to help the community. So these are great options to get to interact with people who you might not normally get to talk to, right? Because if you go to any Democratic club in this entire county, you're gonna see somebody you know. Now counteract that with when you walk into a Walmart or a Target. Look around and say, how many of these people do I see at Democratic meetings? Not many of them, right? Because across this entire county, you've got maybe 1,000 of us that show up to every club and caucus, and most of us are members of multiple things, right? This is a chance to start mingling with other people who aren't listening to the same news as us, who aren't talking to the same people as us, and see how can we engage them and what are they worried about in this community that we can help with, right? Because that is how we make change, is by finding out how we can help. How we can help. So, you go to our website, upcoming events, all 3 of these things are on the website. Click any of them, it will then have all the details for you. And here, even here, I've got the address on the website for you, for where it's located and all that kind of good stuff. Now, we know our strategy is to do that work, right? That's why we talk about that. But the point of doing that work is to help get candidates elected. So let's hear from one of them now. Let's hear from Luis Salazar, who is my friend, who has been a great leader of the LGBTQ caucus, who served in the military, has lived a life of service, and wants to serve again now in politics. We'll turn it over to Luis.
All right. Thank you, Drew, and thank you, Silver Dance. That's always a tough act to follow, right? Up here. Listen, I've been in politics for about 20 years. I started when I was in college. For you to understand who I am and what I'm about, I have to go back to the beginning. So I was born in California, and I was raised in Arizona in a little town near the border called Sahuarita, about 30 minutes from Nogales. It's very tiny. When I lived there, probably population 1,000. This was back in the late 90s. And when I grew up there, it was a dusty little town. My graduating class was 75 people. So it was out there, right? And growing up in Arizona, I got to see a lot of things that not many Americans got to see. I lived near the border. I lived on 10 acres of land in the middle of the desert, so up in the middle of nowhere. And me and my friends, we'd get BB guns and go play war and shoot each other and play in the desert like kids do in rural counties. And in that experience, I got to see people coming to America, but not in your traditional way. Crossing the border, being smuggled by coyotes, and then being brought into this country in ways that my parents came and generations before me came. I'm first generation. I don't know if you can tell by looking at me, but I am Mexican. My family came here in 1972, and my parents came here for the same reason a lot of immigrant parents come, is because they want a better future for their children. That's the number one answer I always get whenever I ask anyone that is coming to this country. And I get to speak to a lot of immigrants because I work with the Hispanic Services Council here in Hillsborough County. And I got to teach immigrants about the services that serve them. So legal services, healthcare, and education. Those are just 3 things we started with. And I got to learn about what those needs are in our community, and especially in my district that I'm running, which is District 64, which is 42% Latino. Now, growing up in Arizona, I got to see these things and see my mother help people as we found them in the deserts. Because I would find them and I'd bring them home and I'd get yelled at probably, and my mom would then put them in the barn, and one by one we would shower them, get them clothes, and then my dad drove an oxygen truck, and it looked like a big UPS truck. So what we would do is we'd put them in the back, and I'd get to sit in the front seat, and he'd just tell me to put my headphones on, and I'd be listening to the kids on the block, and we'd be taking them to a church or a sanctuary or somewhere where they could go find their families. We were the first people that they'd encounter where they'd get to call someone they knew in the US and be like, hey, I'm okay, I'm alive. And I remember seeing this as a kid and seeing my parents doing this work. And they didn't know what they were doing. They were just doing it because it was the right thing, right? And my parents were advocates before they even knew what that word was. They did it because it was the right thing to do to help people in the desert. And I grew up in that environment all my life. My mother is now almost 80 years old and she's still doing it every single day. we have to tell her sometimes to, like, you know, you need to chill for a little bit. She refuses to use a walker. She's stubborn. She's a little old lady that is still going to orphanages in Mexico and handing out toys. She's still helping people when they still cross the desert because they still live on those 10 acres in the middle of the desert. And I learned from her what advocacy was, and my father, who drove that UPS truck and helped people find sanctuary. I learned from them what is needed for communities to thrive. We were not rich, we were poor. For many years we didn't have running water, electricity, and because of that, organizations like the Kiwanis Club, the Rotary Club, the Mormons, believe it or not, would come and they'd help us. They'd help us get our electricity connected, help us dig a well. Talking about wells, I used to have to go, that was my job as a little kid, I'd have to go turn the pump on. They didn't have to do it manually, it was just electric, but I would have to go pump water out until we had water, right? It's growing up in a rural life. And because of community and people in community, I got to do some great things in life. I became a Rotary Exchange student at the age of 14. I got to go live in Australia for a year. I got to go join the Navy when I was 17 because I lived in that little town and I was gay. And it was rough being gay back then. I know a lot of you probably remember those times. And in that little small town, I was just too bright for it. I had to get out of there. And the only way to do that was to join the Navy. When I joined the Navy, I again went into another life of service for my country and for people as well, because that's what we do in the Navy. That's our goal is to help people. Our goal is to make sure that we go to countries and we give people running water, build homes. I've sailed all over the world, and there's always been opportunities for us in the Navy to go build schools, to use our skills to actually help people, not just war, but actually help communities. And I'm proud to call myself a U.S. sailor. It was some of the best time of my life, and I learned a lot of things there, how to be structured, how to be organized, and again, how to use what my mother was doing and make it bigger, right? How to use those skills to command people and get them together and get them to work together. Because when you're in the Navy, you are with people from all over the world, not just the U.S. There's people from every part of the world that are part of the U.S. Navy. And you have to learn to live with each other, one way or another. And I always knew that every person on that ship, it didn't matter who I was or if I even was in the division, if they even knew my name, I knew they had my back. And that's a great place to be when you're a young man growing up in the world. I served during Don't Ask, Don't Tell. That was a difficult time for all of us. When I was a young man in the early 2000s, I never thought marriage equality was going to happen. I said, never in my lifetime. It's never going to be something that I am ever going to see. And I wasn't going to tell anybody I was gay. I remember when we were pulled into a port, me and my gay friends, which we were secretly gay in the military, would go see the restricted list and see where we were going to go hang out that night. Because that's where you knew where all the gay bars were at. You're like, okay, that's where we're going. So, but yeah, and communities knew it. We had Shore Patrol in San Diego that would show up to the gay bars and sweep and do sweeps, and the owners of the bars knew. And when you're in the military, you know right away. You got the same haircut, clean shaven face. You know, people know automatically. And the owners of gay bars used to make an announcement over the mic, open the back door, and let all of us run out the back. This was not that long ago, as Drew was saying. This was like 2004, right? In the U.S., in a home. The same things that are happening right now are scary because it feels like we did advance a little bit. We're going back to these times of Don't Ask, Don't Tell. And it was not fun. It was not fun. We lived a very scared life of getting found out. I had many friends that got kicked out because they were LGBTQ from the military, got other like bad discharges, lost out on education, just because of who they were. Now that's a place that we were at, and I feel like you said we're going back there again if we don't start paying attention. And that's what in being in the military, after I got out, I got to go to college. I was the first person in my family to graduate from a four-year university. I went to Northern Arizona University in Flagstaff, Arizona. Once I graduated from there, believe it or not, I moved here to Florida because I didn't want to shovel snow. So in Flagstaff in Arizona, it snows from Halloween to Mother's Day. It is not fun. We had a bobcat in our driveway that we had to get the snow out of the driveway in order to be able to go to school. And in that experience, even there in college, I was walking to school one day and I got stopped because in Arizona we had a law that was called Youth Stop Well Brown. Okay? And that gave sheriffs, Stop Well Brown.
Oh.
Okay? That gave sheriffs and police officers the same authority as Border Patrol. And in return, that gave Border Patrol the same authority as the sheriff or police officer. Before that, Border Patrol could only ask you to declare your citizenship. After that, they were able to make arrests, detain you, search your car, search your person. So things were getting kind of hot, right? And on the way to school, I got stopped. And I'm thinking to myself, I just served in the Navy, and I'm trying to just go to school, and I am a U.S. citizen. This is my home, and like I'm being questioned about where I'm from. My family has been here for hundreds of years, and I'm being questioned about where I'm from. And that lit a fire in me. That lit a fire in me to do something, as we saw earlier on the screen. And I joined my student union, my Arizona Student Association, where we went and lobbied at the Arizona State House for students against bringing guns on school, keeping tuition low, trying to make lives better for student living. And that's grown into where I am today. I came to Florida. I went to the LGBTQ caucus, believe it or not, because I was looking for work. I work in social media. And I got pulled in as the political action guy. And that's how they track it. They ask you, do you want to be a chair of something? And you're like, right, minimal work. Minimal work turns into something else. But it turns into a lifetime. And then you're running for office, so be careful. But to be honest with you, it has been a wonderful experience. Because of being president of the Hillsborough LGBT Democratic Caucus and being a Democrat in Florida, I got to meet some amazing people. I got to meet Hillary Clinton. I got to go to the DNC in Chicago. I got to hang out with Joe Biden. These great experiences of life. But it started from being a political action guy at the LGBTQ caucus. And what I saw there, what I saw when I went to go be a Democrat, was that we were too worried about voter registration and all just the inner workings of the party. And for me, being a Democrat was representing an organization that was the party of the working class, and the party that believed in education, that believed in healthcare, that believed in not going to silly wars. That was the Democrat I wanted to be. And in my organization, I was given the opportunity to make our caucus not political, but community-based. Because it's important for people, especially in Florida, we're living in the sea of red, to see us. We talked a little bit about this with Drew when he was talking about it, and that's the idea. You aren't the three-headed monster when you go sit next to someone who doesn't think like you, doesn't live like you, doesn't believe in the same things you do, but you can have a conversation with them. You all of a sudden become a human being. And that was important, especially as a gay person, or as an LGBTQ person, a trans person, that we go and be seen in uncomfortable places, right? I go to where a lot of Republicans are at. In fact, all of our Republican elected officials, I will straight up walk up to them and be like, hello, how are you doing? How's it going? My name is Luis Salazar. Because we need to have that relationship again. We need to start seeing each other as human beings. It's a problem right now, and it's causing a lot of chaos because people don't see us for being who we are or respect us for who we are. Now in Florida, we have some serious issues. We've had serious issues for a long time. And one of those is healthcare. So with the LGBTQ+ caucus, what we did is, the first thing we did is we started holding regular events. We started going into nightclubs and talking to young people about voting, petitions, why it's important to start paying attention. These are safe spaces for them. It's important for them to realize that they can go away very easily if we don't wake up or start voting differently and start looking for different kinds of leaders. We handed out resources. People thought I was crazy when I was going in there and I was handing out things like Narcan, fentanyl strips, Plan B, condoms, lube. And my mentality of it was, man, back in the 1980s, people probably thought handing out condoms was a crazy thing, you know? And we're saving lives. People are dying from fentanyl overdoses. So being able to give someone that works at McDonald's for $13, $14 an hour that can't afford a Plan B or Narcan and saving their life or making sure that they have a future that they want to have is priceless. And then also gaining trust with them that we are here for their best interests and we really believe in them and we want them to have an education. We want them to continue on their life. That was the mission of our caucus. That was the one thing we did. It eventually grew into 4 events a month that we did for 3.5 years while I was president. The second one was adopting a precinct, being regularly seen there to the point where I would walk down the street and they would be like, oh, there's Luis, the gay guy. Right? and it's okay. And the precinct we were in was East Tampa, where you're going to be going. It's a predominantly black neighborhood. And people would always get scared, like, wow, man, it's scary here. Like, I don't know if I want to go there. Look, these are just human beings that are trying to do the best they can with what they got. And it is our job as Democrats, it is our mission to make sure we provide the resources and the knowledge to make sure that they can live a better life. Because that's the very root of what being a Democrat is. Okay? No matter what they say, I know there's a lot of money floating around and a lot of people begging for stuff and wanting to get things done. That is who we are. We're the party of the working class. We will continue to do that. And we need to gain trust back with these people because they don't trust us. I knock on a lot of doors and like I said, I go to a lot of rooms. When I talk to people one-on-one who aren't party loyalists or the party elite, they see Democrats and Republicans as equally as evil, equally as bad. Okay? I know that's hard to hear when you're a Democrat, but that's why we need to be in those rooms. That's why you need to be making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches next to a MAGA Republican. Don't get angry at them. It's important for us to realize that we need to start making some relationships with people. I know it's difficult. I know it's really hard when you have such strong convictions, strong beliefs, but they will not see us as human beings if we don't start talking to them, okay? And that's what I've been doing. I've been in my community working really hard at that, working at creating coalitions, working at making sure that people have resources they need, working at making sure that we see ourselves and our party as something else because our party is transitioning right now into something else. And there's the old school Democrats and the party elite that are struggling with it and don't want to come along. We're dragging them along with it, and they don't want to see the changes that need to be made because we do need to make some changes in this party. And it's getting done. I see it. I feel something so good right now. I feel something different. I feel we're going to win. I feel we're going to go some places. We're going to make some changes around here. And that's important because right now we're on a high of hope, not on a high of vengeance. And that's important. Hold on to that hope. I know it sucks when we lose. And as everybody, I'm sure everybody here has worked on a campaign of some sort in their lives. When you lose, it's like, man, oh, it hurts, right? Especially the big races. That's why I think it's important for people to play sports. Because when you play sports, you lose a lot. Trust me. I played some sports in high school, and when I lost, it was like, well, it's the end of the world. But you also have to realize that you have to dust yourself off, get back to practice, and start doing it again. We've got to keep trying. We've got to be relentless at knocking at them until we get through. Because that's what we do. We are, if anybody in any party in the world, the Democrats are the party that is the one of hope that loses and just keeps going and going and going. Don't get disillusioned. We have to keep trying. We make baby steps every single day. In Florida, we need it. When I talk to voters at their doors, The number one issue that we talk about is homeowners insurance. The rising cost of homeowners insurance. I know there is a lot of chatter about where people in the bathroom, Confederate statues, all these social warfare issues, but the one thing they're most concerned about is their home insurance, the rising cost of it, because that impacts if their kid's gonna be able to afford to go to soccer practice. When gas is $4.50 a gallon and you're driving your kid to soccer practice, trust me, Republicans are pissed. They are asking themselves what is going on. I talk to them every single day and they tell me, they might not be loud about it, but they're mad. We also, that the cost of affordability is something that impacts us all. Those are LGBTQ plus issues as well. Those are everybody's issues. We all need a roof over our head. We all need a good paying job. We all need access to health care, clean water. These are the basics of life. And we need to make sure that they're accessible to people. TECO is out of control. It's expensive as hell. Electricity is expensive. My bill has doubled in the last 2-3 years. Right? I'm sure you're feeling the impact too. We are in a state that has natural disasters. Hurricanes, they are coming. Get ready for it. We need to make sure the environment and our shorelines are ready to take that brunt of that. Right? Not destroy them, but shore up our shorelines with nature and the environment that we need. We are in a drought right now here in Hillsborough County. We need clean water. You know, in 1970s, the Hillsborough River was a disaster. I don't know if anybody here was around at that time, but this little lady named Betty Castor passed the clean water bill, right, or helped with that process. And look what the progress has been from that. That was in the 70s. Look where we are now. I think we also need to realize that not everything happens in this city. We have to chip away at things in order to make progress happen. I remember going back to gay marriage, seeing the pictures, because and back in the day, things have changed a little bit, but the Supreme Court didn't allow cameras inside of the court, and there was no audio recording as well. So back in the day, the news agencies would all hang out outside, and the reporters would have pages go in and out and running with the notes, right? So as soon as gay marriage was announced, there's a very famous picture of all these people running towards the cameras. And they're all running to say that marriage equality, or that gay people get married, marriage equality has now been passed by the Supreme Court. That's where we're at, right? That's the hope we have to hold on to. When you look at the people and you just see them running, you're like, what's going on here? Is there a crisis? Did someone get shot? No, they're running like heralds to tell the news of the greatness that is coming. And there is greatness coming. We have a lot of great candidates that are running across this whole state. There's going to be a change that happens, a passing of the baton that will happen this election cycle.
Now I got a question.
Yes.
Because I think you're going to go on forever if I don't ask you.
Go ahead.
What change do you think is coming? Is question number
New
one.
New candidates coming, and that's what we got to do. We got to vote differently. We got to vote for younger candidates. We got to vote for new candidates that have new ideas. That's the change that's coming. If you want to vote for status quo candidates and continue voting for status quo candidates, you're going to get the same results. 30 years of Republican rule. Okay, that's coming. That's the change that's coming.
Now, I want somebody to go before me because I have a follow-on question I want to ask.
Real quick, think about what Louise said. It should sound familiar, because remember when we've talked before about Harvey Milk, right? Harvey Milk, everybody remembers first openly gay politician. What they don't remember is his first election, where he came in 39th out of 42. Why? Because he had a crazy idea that gay people should be treated like humans. And people didn't want to listen. And he ran again, and he said the same thing. Gay people should have rights. We should have equal human rights. And what happened? This time he got 17th. Talking about things, like Luis was talking about, Confederate statues and things like that, is a great way to come in 17th. How did he get elected for the first time? He found out what in the community people cared about. And one of the things they were pissed off about was dog poop in all the parks.
Yeah.
It's the most boring issue on the planet,
Yeah,
right?
it's not exciting
But this
stuff.
was the 1970s, before they had the bags attached to your leash. And so he staged his announcement where he got to the park early, mapped out where all the piles of dog shit were, and he made a showing of stepping on it. If you go on your phone right now and Google Harvey Milk dog poop, the first image you will see is him holding up his shoe with a bunch of dog poop on it. That was completely staged. He went up there to announce his candidacy and gave a speech that was basically, I was going to give a speech about how gay people should have rights, but you know what? If you elect me, I'll make sure that the dog poop is out of the park. And you know what happened? He didn't come in 17th. That's the first time he won. So listen to what Luis is saying. When he knocks doors he's not hearing, I'm worried marriage equality is going away. I'm worried about this. We all are worried about these things. But it's these issues that are impacting people day by day that Luis is seeing because he knocks so many freaking doors that's what we're going to talk about. Does that make sense?
And that's not saying that any of these issues are not important because they
Exactly.
are. But we want to win, right?
Right? Harvey Milk wasn't wrong.
Connect
Gay
with
people should be treated like humans. He was not. He didn't lose because he was wrong. He was losing because that wasn't what was connected with what people wanted right then. But once he connected with that, then what could he become? Then he could become the first openly gay politician. Then he could do things helping the community and addressing the cultural issues that he wanted to do. And that's how we're going to win. Who else has questions for Luis?
And just to close out real quick,
Okay, cool.
I want you to think of a number here. Right now, and when I say change is coming because we're gonna vote new people in. It's gonna be a whole new slate. But think of this number. In the Florida State House, of the now 34 Democrats that are there, how many of those do you think are Latino?
None. Or one.
How many do you think?
Four or five.
2. One of them doesn't talk to the party anymore, and the other one's leaving. Of the everybody elected in Tallahassee, how many of them do you think are LGBTQ? There's 4. 2 in the Senate, 2 in the Florida State House. So, changing what that looks like and voting differently is how we come out of this rut of 30 years of Republican.
Who else? Because I've got a question I want to ask. Now, you self-describe as coming from the south of Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Sonoran country where Linda Ronstadt from?
Yeah, so
Okay.
Linda Ronstadt was born where I grew up.
Okay. Now you're in Florida, and we accept a lot of people here from a lot of other places, similar to New York, what have you. There's a lot of folks that come here from other places. I'd like to ask you, what skills or experience or proclivities do you have that will help you get along with members of the opposition party? Because there's no way you're going to be in a legislature where it's all Democrats.
I've been hated by people for 42 years of my life, and I've managed to make it this far. And to be honest with you, I'm able to connect with people on a one-on-one level and bring conversation out of them. I don't get angry at them. I try to understand them, and I try to connect with them because I bet you that your worst enemy, you have one thing in common with them. And it's important to find that one thing. And we are not going to get anything done. Like I told you, there are 34 Democrats in Tallahassee right now. And in order for us to do anything or get anything done, we're going to have to start working with our friends. We're going to have to make friends. Not all of them are all evil. I'm going to tell you now. They are. I've been to Tallahassee several times. It's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. But there are people willing to talk to us, willing to collaborate and to come to a consensus. Okay? Now, that might mean wording things differently. The bathrooms, for instance. Gonna give you an example. Bathrooms in Florida. There was a big problem about where people were gonna go to the bathroom, they're trying to fight it. The solution was to call them family restrooms, so that people can use the bathroom by themselves. It could be put into building code. And that was the back end that probably a lot of people don't get to see. But instead of fighting over the bathrooms, they say, you know what, we're gonna make single family bathrooms where we put a table so you can change a diaper. And that way, anybody that feels uncomfortable going into a large restroom with multiple urinals or stalls has an opportunity to use the restroom by themselves. That was done on the back end. That's something you don't hear about, but that was done bipartisan. That was done in a way to solve the issue. And we're still, you know, people are mad about it, but they don't know that's what happened. So you have to think outside the box. You have to outsmart. You have to outsmart them. In their own game.
And real quick, just think about this. I'll give you an example from here in Brandon, right? At the corner of Kings and Munson, there is a gun shop called the Second Amendment Armory. Okay. Now, in the Chamber of Commerce, my two best friends own the Second Amendment Armory. And people laugh at us because they're like, how are the two guys who own the Second Amendment Armory making jokes in the back with the president of the Democrats? That makes zero sense. Now let me tell you how something like that happens. It's because of what Luis is talking about. The very first time I met those guys, you know what they were doing? They were doing a charity event for veterans. And I said, I would like to help with that. I would like to donate to that. And so we worked together on a veterans issue. It wasn't about politics, it was about helping veterans in the community. And when that happened, guess what? Now two guys who probably would have never said, oh, I'll be talking to the president of the Democrats about this, talk to me on a regular basis. That's the kind of thing that can happen when you focus on community. Now, I'm not going to say we see eye to eye on 100% of issues, because we do not, right? But can we pick up the phone and talk to each other to do something together? Absolutely. And so that's what leadership is, right? Finding a way to do this. And when you talk to somebody who's been in the Navy, who's been on that ship where it's like, look, I don't have any choice but to deal with this guy. Because this is what we're going to do. That's what we need, right? Because the reality is we're not going to get to just work with Democrats. And think about the front page of our website. Go to our homepage and read it. What do we talk about? We talk about the failures of the Democrats, and we talk about how we need to knock off this fuck around and find out nonsense. Why? Because that isolates people. Where think back to that slide at the beginning of this meeting, where we talked about farm people losing the ability to get water. Yeah. It's real easy for Democrats to hop online and make a comment about, well, this is what you voted for. Do you think that a kid like me who had to pump his water and couldn't drink it because it had been contaminated by pesticides is going to be drawn to the Democratic Party by hearing, well, this is what you voted for? No. Grow the fuck up. We have to figure out ways to talk to each other, even if we can't agree on 100%. Now, you guys know I'm about as left as you can get, right? Right? You guys know it's real hard to get much further left than me. And I'm the one saying this. So when we hear somebody running for office who says, hey, we got to find a way to talk to these people, remember, it's no different than me saying it, right? Because you can do this in the community. Sorry,
also, these elections, this is not going to be easy. If you think, or if anybody thinks that we could just put some Facebook post up and we're going to get elected, no. This is going to take us knocking on thousands of doors, just like we did for Brian Nathan, making thousands of phone calls, and working like real Democrats and getting in there and getting, like we won, like real Democrats, Brian Nathan was. And that felt good, didn't it? It felt good to be able to wake up and in 405 votes that we won by. A victory is a victory, victory. So we need help. We need help as candidates. So please continue doing that mission of doing this, what you're doing right now. We have a volunteer sheet up here. If you can donate, that's another great way of helping, because we need to get boots on the ground. We need to get, in Florida, the only way you're considered a viable candidate is by the dollar sign next year. To be shaken seriously. And that needs to change, but with time, we can do that.
Luis, are you being primary?
I am being primary. Right now, there is 2 other people in my race and myself. I have Mike Suarez and John Rodriguez, who are the 2 other people. And then the Republicans also have 3 other people. Well, we got to get through the primary for it first, which is August 18th.
Can you kind of describe your district map a little bit?
So my district is everything south of Bush Boulevard to 275 on South Tampa, right? The South Tampa 275 area. And everything west of Florida Avenue into Town and Country and the airport area.
And real quick, just remember, we talked about Susan Valdez with this district, right? This district, in the Trump election, got won by a Democrat.
It's blue.
This is a winnable seat for us, right? Brian Nathan was in an R+12 district. We had to do all kinds of stuff with the data for that campaign to make sure that he was calling NPAs, to make sure he was calling flippable Republicans. This is a Democrat winnable seat. if we can get
It
through
is.
this on its own. Now, we still want to draw in as many voters as possible, but this is a seat where we can flip this from R back to D with just a little bit of work. We just got to show up for our candidates.
It is on the target list for the FDP, Equality in Florida, all these organizations. District 64 is on the target list of the seats that they know they can keep or flip. Because it's red now because Susan flipped to the red to be a Republican, which pissed everybody off, right? And they're mad. So, and I hear it all the time. I walk into rooms as soon as you say Susan Valdez, there's a grumble in the air. Like, feel a vibration coming through your body. But yeah, this is a Democratic seat. It has been a Democratic seat for a long time. I believe in the history of it. I believe one Republican has ever won. There is right now, like I said, West Tampa's in there, Town and Country, Egypt Lake, a little bit of Carrollwood, the southern part of Carrollwood, Riverside Heights, and Seminole Heights.
Drew, how much overlap in his district is there with Castor's district?
So
They
if we go,
changed it. So no.
because they changed it, I think we actually have a little bit
It's small.
right over here where you see like this 589, this chunk here
This area here.
is going to be
So Town and
overlap
Country.
with that. So
Okay.
when we are helping Kathy Castor, we're actually gonna be dealing with stuff over in that section,
Okay.
which is why this is such an easy crossover for us.
Also, overlapping that district is Brian Nathan.
Yep, Brian Nathan, who we helped,
Brian Nathan.
which was
Yeah.
all of this section here, which remember, the Republicans think there was voter fraud for why Republicans voted for
They
this.
say.
That's what they think. And I've been to their conference where they talked about why they think it's voter fraud, which for me was hilarious, as the data guy who ran the data for them to flip Republican.
So looking at
So-
this map, my district is from here up and across through here.
Yep.
That's my district. And Brian Nathan's district goes from like down here, across, up. And we basically have the
Very,
same
so like,
precincts.
the same postcards we were sending,
does.
same doors we were
Okay,
knocking, all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
same,
All right?
yep, he has to run again. He's up for an election.
Yeah,
We
'cause he
also
wanted a
have-
special election, so then he's going to come back. All right.
We also have Team Keanu Darling here, so another
Yeah.
great candidate.
So, and we'll
Take her out.
flip to that real quick.
But thank you. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Dan. We'll just sit right over there. Thank you. For Keandra Garland, do you want to come up and talk for her?
Good.
Hi everyone, my name is Sandra Santos and I am Keandra Garland's campaign coordinator. Obviously I'm here to represent her and she's running for House District 62, which is south of Pinellas and a little bit of bigger on this side as well. Gibsonton, Riverview, Progress Village area. Yes,
What would
it's
you
very-
like us to know about Keandra?
That she cares about people. She cares about every single person in this room. She wants affordability for everybody. So yeah, she's fourth generation from St. Pete. She knows the area well. She's been doing the work for years. She worked in city council, and then she also worked in a lot of nonprofits as well. So she's really devoted to her community and cares again a lot about her community.
Anybody have any questions? Anything else you want to share with us?
Pet issues? Does she have any what?
Pet issues?
Pet issues?
Like her core issues, what's like her core platform?
Besides affordability.
Oh, yeah, no issues.
What is your plan?
What's her name?
Oh, sorry, core issues. Sorry, I was having a hard time. I was hearing something else. Sorry.
She doesn't
Yes.
hate pets.
I was like, wait, what? I'm so sorry. Oh, man, yes. So,
Excellent cover though, she has no issues.
yeah, no issues at all. There's no issues. Yeah, I mean, the main issues are, again, affordability, so housing, just groceries, just everyday stuff that we all need and need access to. So she believes, that everybody deserves an opportunity to be able to live, a good life.
You know where she went to high school?
I do not. I know she went, yes, in St. Pete, Yeah, in St. Pete. Like, South St. Pete, so there's probably not a lot of high schools.
She went to St. Pete High?
I think so, yeah. if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Good. Any other questions?
Any other questions? But yes,
Alright.
you guys can follow her. She has Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Kiana Darling or Darling4FL. She also has her website, darling4fl.com. But yes, my name's Andrea. And, oh, yes.
Does she have anybody running against her in the primary?
Oh yes, there's another Democrat, Wenge Newton. And yeah, so I think he's not an incumbent. Actually, incumbent. She's actually running Michelle Rayner. She's the one in the seat right now, and she's running for Senate. So it's an open seat, and it's historically a Democratic seat. So yes, we would love your support. Again, you guys are able to. Yeah, we have. Oh, yes. Before I forget, we do have. We're also going to be doing canvassing. So we have canvassing next Saturday, and at the end of the month, and in July 11th as well. So again, you guys can find the information at. But yeah, you can come talk to me afterwards, and I can give you the information. But yeah, it's darling4fl.com for her website.
The incumbent is a Democrat? How many
Yes,
votes?
yes, Michelle Rayner. But yeah, she's not running for the seat. She's
Right,
running
right,
for
she's running
Senate.
for Senate,
Yeah, for
right.
the Senate. Yes. Any other questions? Yes, I would love to meet you guys after the meeting.
Cool.
Okay,
Awesome.
awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Treasurer's report. There we go. It's used to you sitting in the back. Oh, yeah.
We have $3,007.94.
All right, and did we end up paying for the post office box? All right. One thing that came up in the board meeting, we had about $3,400 in the account as of a week ago. We're down about $300. Here's why. The old bill for the post office box went to Walt, our treasurer, who passed away. So we did not get a notice that we had to pay the bill. Laura has now taken care of that, and that's all been taken care of. But it took $300 to restart it, get the same post office box, and all that kind of stuff. So, board approved that. All right, the other thing that we want to talk about is fundraising. So as a board, we talked about doing a fundraiser. And one of the things that we have seen is that our Democratic candidates are desperately in need of better data, okay? The supervisor of elections is able to provide address data that is accurate. It provides about 50% of the phone numbers. Unfortunately, those phone numbers, most of them are landlines or are so old that they are no longer valid. It provides about 28% of emails, also many of which are not good. So our candidates don't have good access to data there. For our candidates who can afford access to Vote Builder, which is so like when Rudina is talking about like cutting turf and where they're going to be knocking doors, usually the technology that's being used for that is called Vote Builder. Vote Builder has, my wife and I own an artificial intelligence and data company and digital marketing company, and what we would call the data that's inside of Vote Builder is dog shit. And that's because it is the worst data I have ever seen in my life. If you were to, so there, we use precinct 834, the one that we're adopting as an example. There are about 750 Democrats in that, according to the supervisor of elections. The most accurate data about Democrats you can get. How many Democrats do you think Vote Builder says live there? About 750. So they're off by 200 already on day one. So immediately, 1 out of 5 addresses and 1 out of 5 sets of information is bad, and we're talking about that per precinct. So that's going to apply across the entire county, okay? Now, or across 2 counties for some of our candidates like Keandra, who have to deal with 2 counties supervisor of elections and 2 separate counties worth of Vote Builder data, okay? Now, when you go to export that data from Vote Builder, how many phone numbers out of those 950 people do you think Vote Builder will give you? 45. That is less than half of, that's not even a rounding error to get to 1%, okay? So we're in a spot where if we want to help our candidates, Vote Builder is great for cutting turf, other than the 1 out of 5 addresses being bad. But other than that, it is effectively worthless. One of the things that we need to be able to do is provide our candidates with better information. We can do that through buying data from private data brokers and then giving it to our candidates. Okay? So as a board, one of the things that we agreed to do was to do a fundraiser where we can acquire data for the entire county of Hillsborough. we can get about 70% of the personal cell phone numbers of Democrats in Hillsborough for about $9,000. So if as a club, we can raise $9,000, we then would have the capacity to help every single Democratic candidate, not just in East Hillsborough, across the entire county, including people who are crossing county. So the Hillsborough portion that Keandra would have, we can help with that. For where Luis is, we can help with that. Where Brian Nathan is, we can help with that. From Sun City all the way up to that Boy Scout camp up in the northwest corner of Hillsborough, we can help with all of that for about $9,000. Now, we're a smaller club. I don't know if we'll be able to raise $9,000, so we'll set a series of goals to raise money in July so that we can do this, so that then we have the data to give to candidates who win the primaries on August 18th, because they need to be off to the races. And now, when we talk about getting phone numbers for our candidates, what does that mean? It doesn't just mean the capacity to call them. It doesn't just mean the capacity to text them. Here's what that means. If you've ever clicked on an ad, or clicked on an item in Amazon, right? And then you go to some other website, what happens? What do you see? That exact same item all across the internet, right? That happens through what's called retargeting, okay? Now, one of the things our candidates have never been able to do in the past is to accurately target only Democratic voters or only NPA voters with their ads. They have to target a geography where they say, hey, I want to market to the entire zip code 33511. Well, what's that going to pick up? Republicans, NPAs, non-voters, and a whole bunch of people. That's wasted money, okay? If we're able to then tap personal cell phones on to voter data, guess what happens? Our candidates have the capacity to raise more money because they can reach out to those people for donations. And they have the capacity to lower their marketing budget because they can market only to Democrats. And you can tie that to voter scores where you can say, don't just market to Democrats, only market to the Democrats who are going to show up and vote. That means our candidates could spend 20% of what they were spending on their ads. If we do the work to raise $9,000, that doesn't seem like a big ask for us to be able to go out there and say, hey, let's go raise $9,000 to make every Democrat's life better. And that'll be phase one, okay? Just to give you a preview of where we will eventually go with this. We can also ultimately raise the funds to get email addresses, which makes that marketing even more accurate. And here's the next best part. You can also tie that to someone's consumer file. So then what you could do is, like, let's say that I'm gonna use Luis as an example. Luis donates to veterans causes because he's a Navy veteran. That information is out there in the form of data brokers. So now what we can do is we can say, I want to know every Democrat in Hillsborough County who donates to veterans causes. And then what do? We give our candidates that data set. Hey, when you want to market about things for veterans, here's your data set. When you want to market to people who care about animal causes, environmental causes, here's your data set. When you want to be able to reach out to just the people you want to talk to. Brian Nathan, one of the things we did, we were able to give him the names of houses with Republicans in it that we thought were flippable. And he was able to call them personally and say, I'm a veteran, I've lived a life of service, and that's why I'm trying to do this. I'm a union electrician, I'm a regular guy, please consider voting for me. And our targeting was so accurate that he flipped Republicans to vote for a Democrat right now. We can do that across this entire county for relatively low cost. So we're going to start with phone numbers. Then we're going to tack on that other information once we show that this can be done. And then what are we going to do? We are going to take our strategy and do it at scale so that we are able to provide money in the form of donations for our candidates, right? The most successful night of Brian Nathan's phone banking, you know where that came from? Data that we provided from this, from exactly what we're talking about. And you know how much it cost to collect the data from Brian Nathan on that one? $17. And it was his most successful night of fundraising. Imagine that for Keandra, for Luis. If for $50, let's say it's $50 a candidate, we could get a point where out of that data, we could give them a donor list that they could call of, here's everybody in your district who lives in Hillsborough County who has donated to a Democrat with their personal cell phone number. That gives them the capacity to raise more money, in addition to lowering the cost of what they have to do for marketing. It lets them find volunteers, because guess what happens? We helped with data just like this in an election that just happened in Chicago. Jenny and I provided data. We gave this Democratic candidate 99.4% of every Democrat's personal cell phone number in that district. And I don't want to say gave, they purchased from us that thing. And so we were able to, I don't want to get into any campaign finance violations here while I'm being recorded. And so what did that allow them to do? They could reach out to every voter, but what could they also do? They can find volunteers, right? So this data gives us the capacity, money, volunteers, and voters. When we have that to share with candidates, guess who's going to be here and wants to hear what questions you have? Guess who's going to help us do good in this community? All those candidates who need that data. The Democratic Party isn't providing it. Somebody has to. We can be that place, and it doesn't cost very much because we own a company where we can buy data at scale. Let's buy it for this club and have it be an asset that we own that we can use to help these candidates. And then beat the goddamn Republicans over the fucking head with it. Right? So, that's what we're doing with fundraising. Jan, Regina, yes.
So Drew, when you say the we, you're talking about your data business with Jenny bringing this
We would buy it
information
and
together.
East Hillsborough would raise the money because we own a data company we can buy at scale and below the cost that almost anybody else can buy. So we can buy it, park it here, and then we can have votes as to what candidates get it or however we want to do it. But any Democratic candidate after August 18th that's won a primary, I would say it's probably a pretty good idea. Let's help them with the data they need. So if it's a countywide candidate, like Dr. Neil Manamala, here's the county data. If it's a slice like Keandra or Luis, here's the data for your district. And they go from having maybe 3% connection rates on Vote Builder to now you've got 70% accurate phone numbers. Now, 70% is not perfect. I will tell you in the private sector, that would not fly as the best thing, but I will also tell you it is 1,000,000% better than anybody in politics has right now, right? Right, Luis?
Yes.
Yes, they don't have anything close to 70% of the cell phone numbers. Yes.
All right. We're moving on the calendar closer and closer to these dates that
Yep.
matter, okay?
Correct.
And so that these two people know that we're talking about post-primary
Correct.
assistance.
So we would like to ultimately run this fundraiser in July so that then we have the data by August for whoever wins on August 18th, which is the primary date, so that we can provide data to all our Democratic candidates. We have a short window from August 19th to November, like 4th, something like that? November 4th to make sure they can kick the hell out of these Republicans.
It's a
Well,
race.
doesn't that mean that, I mean, are you going to ask for a motion to adopt this and figure out a way to word it and move forward to where we can start with those?
So I think all we would need is a motion to do a fundraiser to raise money for data.
Okay,
right?
doesn't we gotta have a little bit more, here's the thing.
Okay,
is
shoot.
From my standpoint, $9,000, okay? Now we know there's heavy hitters, deep pockets, fat cats, rich people, however you describe this. I'm a little guy, I'm not a wealthy person. But I was thinking in terms of the increment, $9,000, if we got 1,000 people across the county to donate $9, I'm doing this math, it's real hard. Okay, it would be about $9,000.
Yeah.
Okay, we start with that, but try to move quickly on it, okay?
Yes.
And tie this in with an effort in this club to expand membership by everybody trying to recruit one more member. If every guy brings in one more guy, you got a double membership. I think 50 is too low, okay? That's what you said we had.
I think we're at 60.
Okay, but let's just say 60.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be nice if we had more than 100, but whatever. But those people would also be able to do more.
So let's not let the perfect be the enemy of the good enough, right? So here's the thing. I think that would growing membership simultaneously be a great thing? Yes. But let's not pick too many targets right now.
Okay.
I think what we want to do is, number one, as a board, we've said, hey, as a group, we think that this could be a good concept to help us get Democrats elected. What I would like to hear from the membership is, do you also think that this is a good idea to raise money for data? So let's have that discussion right now. Do you think that raising money to provide data to the Democratic candidates after the primary would be a good use of a fundraiser for us.
Just so you know, I'm in favor of this, and I've been a Democrat since 1968.
So let's just
I was in
do,
the
all in
fifth grade.
favor, say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right, so we have 0 opposition, so the idea of doing a fundraiser to do data for our candidates is gonna pass, okay? Now, if we're able to get additional members off of this, great. But I will tell you that is the death of almost all campaigns to say, now we're doing 70 things, we just wanna do one thing. We just want money for data so that we can help our candidates, right? And that's the kind of thing we can sell across the board, whether it's to 1,000 people at $9, to one person at $9,000. Yeah, go.
Well, we ended up discussing it at the board meeting and we kind of said, okay, what if we didn't make the 9,000?
Correct.
That we could buy it in increments.
Correct. And so one of the things that we will do as part of this campaign is lay out, hey, if we only raise $500, here's the section of Hillsborough we can get. And we will start at East Hillsborough and then expand out, right? Because we're the East Hillsborough Democratic Party. The first place we're gonna buy data is the stuff that's going to help any candidate that crosses this area, right? Yes.
I know you're more likely to give than you would take, but separating it from your business, are you gonna have a way that we know that?
I'm just gonna buy it and give it to us.
You're
That's
buying-
it's going to live in wherever East
So it-
Hillsborough decides to hold it.
I just, cause that meant to me, she said something, went to my mind like, oh, are you making money off of this?
No. And I can
That might,
even,
some
we'll
people
have
might
like an
think so,
invoice that
and
says
I
it
know,
costs down to the penny this, and then we will pay exactly that.
I didn't think you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is gonna be extremely good for Miss Kathy Castor, who probably hasn't campaigned in 20 years.
Look,
Now
she didn't have
has
to.
Now she has to, and she's gonna need all the help she can get, because we've gotta keep that woman in office. So that's,
And she is now our representative unless the court reverse that, which I think is very low chance as a retired lawyer, I will tell you. And so this is one where this is our chance to make an impact here locally and potentially to make an impact across the county in a way that the Democrats have not been able to do thus far. And it's gonna be up to East Hillsborough to lead, like we have on many things over the last year. Right? When I started rating our communities, who started the Whistle Watch? Who started it? It was us, right? What did that turn into? That turned into helping the ACLU, helping the NAACP, and a whole bunch of other organizations with these types of issues. We can take the lead again and make life easier for our candidates. And once we show how easy it is, what do you think is gonna happen? We're gonna have a bunch of other clubs and caucuses that are like, hey, wait a minute. Could we get all that other data that would help this? Because you know how much it would cost to get Democrats and MPAs? $17,000. Then we can tack on all kinds of other, so we can expand this into all kinds of different directions where we can have the best data available, data that even the Republicans don't have, to make sure that our candidates are in better footing than they are right now. Because when you are in a battle against the Republicans who have almost infinite budgets, right? I mean, like, you guys are gonna have to fight Republicans who've got dollars on dollars, right? And so in that situation, we need to have better tools, right? We have to be able to laser target only the people our candidates need to be talking to. Then we can identify who should we be calling, who should we be texting, who's likely to show up to vote, all kinds of stuff that we can do really easily with this data.
Drew, on the $9,000 target,
Yeah.
what is the date latest that this would work?
I would need, because of what we do as a company, I would need 24 hours. So we could do this up until, we could get to
The
$9,000.
night of the primary.
Yes.
With-
So we have a window because, again, for most people, they can't do that. Because we own a data company, we have access to things that most people don't. And so if we had 24 hours of lead time, we could have all.
See, I was thinking that if we were to ask no more than $9 from each person who would donate to this fund, and that's what I would suggest, is that it's set up as a separate.
We have a donation link on the website. We'll set up a separate campaign where it's like, hey, everybody share this. Let's
Okay.
market this out. Let's get this to bigger donors. Let's get it to smaller donors. Let's get it across the board where it's like, hey, you can afford $9, 1,000 of you can pay
Okay,
for
and if we came up with $8,999.52, would there be a vote? Would there be a vote to disperse or how we would handle the funds if we didn't make the $9 grand?
anything involving money is going to require a vote to say, here is how we spend it.
Right.
So as the just so you guys all know the bylaw, as the president, I can spend up to $50 without people's permission, and then I have to come and tell the board, here's why I spent $50. So unless we raise only $49, someone's gonna vote on what we do with that money, because the number one, political jail is still jail. You do not want to go to jail for doing anything wrong with money, right? Like, as a retired lawyer, I will tell you, the way you lose your license is if you ever mess with somebody's money. That's the thing that makes you lose a license. You never, ever, 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 ever do anything with money without it in writing. This is what we do. And so, as a retired lawyer, I will tell you, there is a 0% chance that we do anything as an organization unless it has been adopted by the organization affirmatively to say, we are going to spend this money from this account in this way on this specific
And
thing.
as I've asked these questions, it's in the hopes of formulating the structure of a motion that we could vote on at this meeting to pursue this action of trying to come up with $9,000 as soon as possible, initially by small individual donations of $9.
So I don't think we have to commit ourselves to the $9 thing. I like the idea, but we just have to, at this point,
That could be,
Well, we
that
did
could be your
vote.
campaign.
that can be your campaign, right? Like,
Okay.
yeah, and so here, so we already had the vote on, are we okay with using the fundraiser to acquire data, correct? All right, so then the next question would be, if we don't raise enough money to purchase data for the entire county, what do we do? And so there I would say, let's make a motion to acquire however much data we can with the funds that are raised. Now that is a flexible term because we don't know how much money we'll
But
raise,
what
right?
about an interim motion to ask for a chunk from somebody who's capable of giving it before?
We don't even need to do that because if we're in agreement to do a fundraiser, I don't have to say like, now I want to ask for $100 from Chris.
There's a
Like, I don't
degree
have
of
to do that.
democracy that's involved in only taking small donations from people to get this done that's not there when you
If
talk
people
about.
are, I don't care if people are offering $9,000 or $9. I'll take whatever we got, right? So like, I agree with you. Look, would this be a great story if we could say we got 1,000 people to donate $9? Would that be a great story that we could do something with PR on? Sure. But I will also say, if one person shows up and is like, I have a check for $9,000, I'm not gonna be like, sorry. Text at a different
$8,900
Yeah,
change.
yeah. And then Emmett's gonna come up with the rest.
I just think that those people who are able, inclined or not, able to give big chunks of money are more impressed when little people give little chunks of money first.
They may be. And we're gonna have the opportunity to ask for any of that, right? You can ask for any amount from anybody. And so what I would say we need to do next, we already have a donation system set up inside the website. So we've already approved that we're okay with doing this fundraiser to raise data. Then we can share, what we can do is provide materials to everybody so that they can share, you guys can all share this out, we can share this out, we can use all of our marketing skills to get this out in front of people, and then see what can we raise as donations over the next 45 days or so to get us into August and say, this is what we're gonna be able to raise, here's the data that we're able to acquire with those funds. Does that sound fair to everybody? Yes. And then we will not disperse any money without a board vote, which will have a record of that. And then that will come back to the membership so you will know exactly what was spent, when it was spent, and why it was spent. Does that sound fair? Okay. Yes.
I think what you all can do is make a motion to suggest that this club could spend up to $50 to start this pot. I think you can do that.
Yeah, we won't even need to spend $50 yet. So like at this point, we'll be able to do everything we need to do at $0. And, but are you asking, could we contribute $50 from like the club itself?
I share what he is saying, and I agree with everything he says, but time is of the essence.
Correct.
You don't have time. So I think it would be a good way of selling yourself. I think this club, you want this club to be known to others. I belong to the women's club, and I'll tell you that when I first started, there were 6 of us. And now are 150.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you guys are
you
running crazy.
want to put that out, saying that this club, the Eastwood Grove, is going to put in $50
guys think?
You need a motion.
Can we at least clarify that my unproposed, unmade motion for $9 donations was defeated before it was ever voted?
Well,
Can we at least
don't
do
have to
that in
commit
the
to a
name
number.
of democracy?
Yeah, you can absolutely, if you've got 1,000 friends and you wanna ask for $9, you can absolutely do it. It's not defeated. It's just that we don't have to commit to saying that this is the marketing campaign that we're doing here, because that's not what we wanna do. Committees are where creativity goes to die, I will tell you as a marketing expert. This is
That
not something that we
imperial
wanna do.
we, okay, I disagree. So I'll be voting against this motion, whatever's coming next. Let's hear it, folks. Who's gonna make it?
$9.
Whoa, I was in favor of the $9
I know, I'm
motion,
just making a joke.
He was.
but we, whoever that person is, ain't. Okay, so who's gonna make this motion? I wanna see what you look like.
To allow this club to spend $50 of your fund to start this effort.
To begin.
Yes.
Does that motion have a second?
We have a website, and he's going to put the donation on the website. It costs us, but the yearly thing is for the website. It has nothing to do with the individual pieces of the website. So I'm not sure what we're going on here. We made a vote to say that we want to do this fundraiser to raise,
But not about how.
How we said, well, I'm not sure how.
We don't need a vote for how, do we?
No, once we said the project, and you've agreed to it, and we've agreed to try to raise $9,000 by the primary to get the data to give to candidates. Now, if you have suggestions on how you want to do it, I mean, we could do a meeting to do that, to discuss that. But it's not as something that that needs a motion.
I'm addressing this, I'm getting impatient. I do this all the time when I was working.
Okay, but we're not spending any money to create the campaign. Yeah.
You do need a motion if you want to spend money. and
But we're
all
not
that.
spending money.
No, my motion is to start this.
She wants to
This is
kickstart us off by
allowed
saying, let's donate $50 straight away from our club.
from
Point
your-
point
that
of
what that's
order,
it?
with this is
Oh,
discussion.
you want the club to donate?
Yes, that's,
Okay,
yeah.
that's what you do,
Yeah.
yes, okay.
All right, do we have a second for her motion to have the club donate $50 to kick this
I'll
off?
second that one.
There we go, we have a second, all right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. All right, so
Now,
we
can
have,
I make a
so now,
motion?
hang on one second. So to be clear on where we're at, because all these goddamn Robert's rules. All right, we have approved that we're doing a fundraiser to try and acquire data for our candidates,
Yes.
up to $9,000 to do it for the entire county.
Yes.
Okay? Now, obviously, if we raise more, we can revisit this and have a secondary vote, and secondary meeting about what do we do with any excess that is raised, okay? And we will also do the same thing if we raise less, okay? Where are we getting, and we'll start, of course, with East Hilton.
Thank you, Les.
Second, we have now made a motion that is successfully carried to have the club itself donate $50 towards this effort, okay? So that's where we're at right now. You then had something else you wanted to follow up.
Mr. Chairman, comes now, okay, this lowly Democrat who moves that what we do is solicit singular $9 donations from any Democrat that would be interested in donating to this fund between now and what would be 2 weeks shy of the primary. The primary is August 4th?
The August 18th is the primary, so 2 weeks shy.
Okay, roughly August 4th. Okay, between now and August 4th, we would ask for $9 donations singularly from any person, whether a Democrat or not.
So I will tell you, this is not a motion that I will be supporting as your president. We should not limit ourselves to asking for $9. If we have people who want to give $100, we should be asking for $100. If we have people who want to give $1,000, if we've got people who want to give $9, that's great. But we don't have to tie ourselves into saying, I'm only going to ask for $9 for the next 45 days. I'm not a big fan of shooting myself in the foot when I'm trying to make money, and so I think that's something we should take a pass on.
When we make this,
But
you're gonna make a separate.
You have a second for your motion. Does anybody want to second the $9 motion? No second, motion fails. Chris, go.
When you set this up, you're gonna make a donation button, right?
Yes.
Every single website I've ever been on says, 100 to 25, 30, whatever, so you could put the $9 on there.
Yep,
Yeah.
we can
You
do
can
that.
even do it like, for just $9. We had 1,000 people for $9 days and reach our goal.
Yeah, I think
What's
it's
your selling
really
point?
Well, look, I know that's what you meant when you said campaign earlier.
Yeah, that's your selling point.
Yeah. All right. So as a group, is everybody comfortable with where we're going?
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions or concerns? Because I want to make sure we're all comfortable with what we're doing. Is anything involving money? I want everybody on board. We good? Good. I see you shaking your head. Is there anything else you need?
Well, my motion flunked. Is there a motion? Is there a motion by one of these gentlemen?
It's got a $9 button on there. It's gonna be a $9 button on the website.
That's not my motion.
We'll even name the button. We'll see.
We'll call it the text button.
So what's the motion that you're voting on now?
There are no more motions because it's already been done. We've approved the fundraiser. We've approved that we will donate $50, and so we
There's a guy named
that's what we need to do.
There's a guy named
The only-
Roberts that's spinning
The
in his
only
grave
thing that
right now.
remains is that once we have acquired whatever amount in donations that we have, we will then have to go through a more formal process to say, okay, we now would like to make a motion to spend this money on this specific thing, but everybody now knows what we are agreeing to ahead of time, right? In terms of what we intend to spend the money on. And it's all being recorded, so there won't be any questions. Yes?
And that was a motion.
No, that's not a
Would it
motion.
be productive to brainstorm some vehicles to fundraise?
Yeah, and we'll have, like these can be through social media posts that we'll put up on the website. We've got email addresses that we can do an email blast through like our MailChimp and other things like that. And then we obviously will also be able to provide like QR codes that take people directly to our website so they can do that. So we will build all of that out and then share that with everybody so that then this can be shared. And then we'll raise as much as we can. And hopefully we'll get to at least $9,000, which would allow us to get every Democrat's phone number that's available at that tier for, so about 70% of them, maybe 80% of them across the entire county, and then we move on from there. Does that make sense? Look, I'm sure there's some other Robert's rule that we're fucking up right now. Right? Robert's got 74 rules about everything that goes on. But when we want to do this, we'll just have to make a motion to release the funds to be able to do this. The board will obviously approve anything ahead of time. Then we bring it to the general membership, make sure that it's all good, make sure that the membership approves it, and then we can go so that we can then start sharing data with our candidates, which can be the most valuable thing that we provide them. Because if these candidates have 70 to 80% of the phone numbers, again, they can raise more money and they can reduce their marketing budget, which means they can spend more time knocking doors, doing the things that they need to do, as opposed to always just trying to figure out whose door do I knock, who do I call, who do I text, why are the percentages so low? Make sense?
Am I in a room full of people that are all gonna give more than $9? I can't wait to do it.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, take a bow.
$9 McDonald's.
That could be an
Flowers,
explanatory
that's
thing.
Yeah, so we
Manure.
I take pride in making sure our meetings are really short. That did not happen today because of all this, but
Wasn't as bad as last month.
membership, we're good there. Missy couldn't be here. July 14th is our next meeting right here. Next meeting is going to be canned and boxed food for Echo for the for their food bank. Chris, you got anything else?
June 14th, no Kings. What they're doing is they're having watch parties for live streaming that includes Beth Miller, Jane Fonda, and a bunch of other people. The only one I found right now, and I'll look more, because I gotta look, I guess, now in Solidarity. But in any case, I'm gonna put it in an email. Right now, there is one at, I think it's 1916 Irish Pub. It's on Roberts, and that's from 7 to 9.
That's right by the Astroscape, the pink Astroscape there by the Publix.
When the parade is over there. Right when the parade is there.
No,
Yes, it is.
is it? I thought it was up close to the 6th.
No, it's in that mall, but the parade is there, right by the skating place.
I
That's
thought
what's
it was break. Oh, in any case,
I've been
it's
there.
the night,
It's right
okay.
there.
I'm sure he knows better than I do. I've never been there.
June 14th. So we're talking about something separate that is not on the slide. We're
Right.
talking about a No Kings thing that's happening June 14th.
Right,
You wanna go,
and
Bill?
it's not a march, it's not a protest, it's a
Watch party.
Watch party.
watch party. So it's indoors. I assume it's gonna be by your own food and liquor.
Yeah.
What are they watching?
See, there's a concert, and it's gonna have Bette Miller, Jane Fonda, and a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
I will have this in the email I send
I
out.
guess it's the contract of the one he had, the 251, that's what it's for? When he had a contract for the 251.
No, this is not that, this is No Kings.
I'm saying to counteract that one, because all the people left from that one. Okay, he had a contract.
Hey, hang on, we're just getting distracted. All right, so,
Okay.
motion to end the meeting. Do I have a second? There you go, Robert. We're good to go. All right. Thank you, everybody who brought school donations. We will get this to P-Flag and Riverview so that kids who need it are helped. And again, next meeting, canned or box food for Echo that we'll take to donate to them
What's your
for their food
favorite
pantry.
Jane Fonda song?
No, I don't think you're gonna use like.
Thank you, everybody. And again, sorry the meeting went over.
You have to do one thing before you leave.
Nancy,
Send in either PDF.
I have